watching in Asia. My name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, and we brand ourselves as the Asia's most trusted customized solutions partner. Registered as an event services company in Singapore, organizing training and summits to generate profit, cost savings, and impact towards your business. And today, it's a very exciting topic that we have. Gen Z is here, and they're not just employees, they're the next generation of leaders, and how we can evolve our leadership practices to grow with them. So that is the question, right? And with me, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have Jane Penson. She is a seasoned certified learning development professional with expertise in training needs analysis, instructional design, performance solutions implementation, and talent development. With almost a decade of solid L&D leadership roles in Convergys, now Concentrix, Teleperformance, Ayala Land, iCore, and Carelon Global Solutions, Jane has lived her passion to develop world-class talent by establishing and implementing customized offerings and programs for various brands across industries such as AT&T, JP Morgan Chase, HSBT, Citibank, Expedia, and more. We also have Swimita Srivastava. She spent 20 over years in the corporate world, hiring, developing, and coaching top talents, from an engineer to global HR leader, now a wellness tech co-founder. She is a high achiever turned into mindful transformer. As a purpose and power coach, helping high achievers overcome invisible limits, realign with their inner wisdom, and rise into careers and lives that they love by combining neuroscience, yogic psychology, coaching, and lived experience into a signature transformation framework. And last but not the least, we have our Gen Z representative, Kathleen. No pressure, by the way. Kathleen May Hernandez is a seasoned customer success manager with a 10-year track record of success in the dynamic SaaS landscape. Passionate about building strong collaborative relationships with customers, understanding their unique challenges, and guiding them to achieve maximum value from our solutions. Her expertise includes leading and developing high performing customer success teams, fostering a culture of proactivity and customer advocacy. So, thank you so much for your patience as well. We had some technical issues earlier, but we're here anyway. So, to start with, I'd like to address my first question to Kathleen. What motivates Gen Z differently from previous generations, and how must leadership styles then have to evolve to connect with them?
Uh, Thanks for that. I think what really sets Gen Z apart is that I'm also part of Gen Z, just to tell everyone. Most of us are basically not just working for money. I wanted to highlight the word not just working for the money. We are basically working for meaning. The main reason is we grow up in a chaos. It's a combination of pandemic, climate crisis, economic stress, social justice movements, and so on. So now we are asking deeper questions at work life. Is it is this worth my energy, or does this company reflect to who I am and to what I really want to be? We are not afraid to say no to toxic work culture. We value our mental health over hustle, and we won't hesitate to walk away from a job that doesn't align with our values, even if the pay is really great. So, with this, it means that leadership has to evolve itself. Authority is no longer enough for us, Gen Z, because we wanted to be coached, not controlled. We wanted to be heard, not managed. And we want flexibility, not just micromanagement. So this is something that I really want to leave everyone behind who's not Gen Z. That if you're leading Gen Z, I think you really need to ask yourself, are we creating a space where we can speak up, not just for Gen Z, but all of your employees? Are you creating a space where you can speak up, we can go fast, or feel seen? Because if you're not, trust me, it's not just the Gen Z itself, but other employees as well is going to leave and find something much better elsewhere. And just to summarize it all, we Gen Z isn't difficult. We are just basically listening. And if everyone is listening closely to us, we might just teach you how to work, how we might teach you how work should have been all along from the start. So that's my take on this question.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for giving us a view and a better perspective on what makes Gen Z a different. And what I'm getting for you is really it's converting or transforming the workplace into being more human. That's what I get from you. And so I'd like to ask my next question to Jane. So how can you organize, redesign leadership development pipelines to appeal to the digital natives? Having said that, right?
Yeah. Kath, thank you so much for providing us that context. It's still different coming from the person from within, right? Giving that perspective because from our perspective, from the outside looking, we would say, these group of people, they have the audacity to say no, and they seem to know what they want, which for me is a good trait. So, based on what you've mentioned, Kath, I think, and Len, and to everyone here watching, we really need to reimagine how we create or design our leadership development programs. Because this is a group of people that would eventually be our successor, right? But these people also will have will have the choice. They know what they want. So what this means to us is that we need to have a program that is agile. And because they were born into technology, not like us who have to adapt, they were really born into it. I think it should be naturally tech enabled, something that they're so used to, and it should be personalized because customization is key, and personalization and democratizing the program such that people is given the flexibility as well as given the opportunity to be themselves and be able to, up to a certain extent, express themselves. So for me, when we design programs straightforward, I would probably say we should integrate, gamified experiences, personalization in the form of AI, leveraging on AI, flexibility, meaning you can access learning, so democratizing it such that it's available across all platforms, giving them the opportunity to set goals for themselves. So that's why I think micro learning also works. So nowadays, and this is also based on my experience, when I design programs now, gone are the days where um, people will just be sitting in the classroom. They really need to have various experiences. It should be dynamic and blended. So there should be an element of being interactive, being able to be flexible enough to make it more learner led rather than instructor led. So it's more of experience. And there should be a social element to it. I noticed that if it's a highly recommended, people liked it, there's like a like or icon in there, the likelihood of them taking the program. So social element wherein it's recommended by their peer. And then peer-to-peer learning, sharing is also a good thing. One thing that's really standing out now, and a lot of the other industries out there are practicing reverse mentoring, which is very innovative, wherein they realize that all of us have different varies of degrees of expertise. So if you were born into technology, you're born into it and you've been exposed to it, you're already an expert. So even though you're relatively young, technology wise, you can actually teach people from the other generation. So they're reverse mentoring comes in there. So innovation labs, clinics, early leadership exposure, having a buddy up system where you have like intergenerational exposure, I think is something that's also a good opportunity when we design leadership development programs. So it's not like one way, it's really vicarious learning and sharing learning together. So it's not really hierarchical when you mentor. You know, you get to really learn from one another. I think that's the best uh, setup for us to leverage on it. And at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're being boxed because I think Kath was very clear on that. You don't want them thinking that because you're on a succession program that that's it. Because at the end of the day, you want to provide flexibility. It's not like a straight path, but rather you can explore. So, again, are the career ladder days. Nowadays, it's really more of being fluid, becoming more of an expert, and being able to reinvent yourself. So I think that's where we have to focus on when we design leadership development pipelines.
Thank you so much for all these tips, Jean. And I'm glad that I'm already like delivering most of it, like from gamification to like peer-to-peer learning and like being more flexible and co-creating a lot of the things that we do. So I appreciate that. And earlier, Kathleen also mentioned about they don't like to be managed, but rather they want to be coached. So that leads me to the next question for Swimita. How do we balance coaching Gen Z while still ensuring accountability and structure?
Thank you, Marilyn. And beautifully said, Jane, Kathleen, very much. As a coach, I can resonate with what you're sharing because I work with Gen Zs, and primarily the one focus that they have is around purpose, meaning, clarity, and not really so much about control or accountability. For them, I think it's important for us to understand what accountability means to them. Accountability is not shedding away from responsibility, but really definitely rejecting that control, um, rejecting that power, that unquestioned authority, even the blind compliance, I would say. People now no longer want to be adhered to these checklist rules that we have once adhered. They want to understand the meaning behind it. They want to have clearer directions. And I think it's very interesting to share at this point of time what even Mercer shared last year in their research is that 89% of Gen Zs, they say that their purpose, the sense of purpose in their workplace, directly relates to the productivity and well-being they feel in their life. So we can definitely infer here that purpose is the number one thing, they connect to. Before you tell them as a leader what they need to achieve, tell them why they need to achieve this. Right? It's like you connect the value of the work, the meaning of the work, to their everyday task. That's essential. And gone are the days when leadership, we operated from a leadership principles of having yearly performance reviews, because that's a definite no-no for Gen Zs. They don't buy into the idea of having a very strict, and I can see Kat nodding her head there, but that's what my experience has also been in the late years of working in HR, that those strict performance reviews are no. It's more about very collaborative, clarity creating conversations rather. Not operating from that angle of you did this wrong, or once you did this. Rather, the feedback has to be continuous, more frequent, and collaborative, not pointing fingers on what went wrong, rather, what we can create together harmonizingly as a way of me being a leader here in the team and you being a performer here in the team. So I think that's what I believe, and that's where I think we need to also understand what drives them, and if we operate our coaching methods according to what drives them, we will be able to establish much better conversations with Gen Zs. And something I'd like to share here is that I normally tell in my coaching conversations to leaders that you operate with care values. Care values is an acronym. Care is an acronym where you actually you connect with them. You don't put your control, you collaborate. You don't assume, rather you ask them what it is for them, where it went wrong, what is your opinion. R is for being more reflective on the purpose rather than on the process and the structure, because that's again a no for a Gen Z. And then E stands for really interesting them and not really micromanaging, because micromanaging again is a big no for Gen Z. You can't lead them, you can't co-create with them if you're micromanaging. So that's my care values, which I normally talk in my programs to leaders. And I think when we embrace and we act from really having that self-awareness as well as a leader, we pretty much can integrate all generations. Forget about just Gen Z. It's about really holding the space where we're not asking questions, but we are asking enabling questions where people can activate their potential. So that's my 2 cents when it comes to coaching conversations.
Thank you so much, Amita. I really love that, you reminded us of like how purposes and meaning is important for Gen Zs. And again, that this is not only for the Gen Z, but this is the new phase of leadership, in fact, right? To having that flexibility, control connecting more against controlling, and really engaging them, to understand better how you can actually motivate or inspire them, in fact, right? And before I proceed to the next question, if there are people who are actually watching us live today, feel free to engage with us, ask your questions, give your comments, and we will be sharing this as well with other social media later on. So if you will be watching this on a replay, please do share with us your takeaways, your questions, and I'm sure everyone here will be more than welcoming to answer all those questions. So tag them if your question is specific to them. So, and what are the common misconception of older generations have about Gen Z in the workplace? And that goes to Kathleen, by the way.
There's a lot actually, but I believe one of the most common misconceptions of older generations about Gen Z is that we're lazy or we're entitled. But the truth is, Gen Z isn't unmotivated. We are just not motivated by the same things, which is repeatable stuff. We are not chasing corner offices or staying in jobs for the reason that just because. We are chasing meaning, autonomy, and of course, our mental well being. Another big myth that older generations is throwing to us is we cannot handle feedback. In fact, Gen Z loves feedback. We really love feedback. We crave feedback. We just want it to be real time, constructive, and human, because we grow with instant everything. We grow up with technology, so we can have everything on the spot. We want it immediately for the reason that we can act on it immediately instead of waiting a year of a performance review when you can just go to that person and specifically ask, I think this is something that you can improve and let's work into it. And finally, people think that we Gen Z doesn't have a loyalty, but what we are seeing is that Gen Z is loyal to cultures that are loyal to them. If you give us psychological safety, career growth, and purpose, we will definitely go hard for you. We will definitely fight for you. We will definitely be loyal to you. But if not, then we'll basically just bounce off because we've seen what happened to the former or the older generations. As you look into them, observe into them, they have been burned out. They receive broken promises. and then they're only enjoying all the things that they wanted to enjoy right now when it's already like they're on their 50s, 60s. So maybe instead of asking what's wrong with Gen Z, maybe we should ask everyone with the question, what's outdated in the way we work? So that's my take for that question.
Oh, thank you so much, Kathleen, for um sharing that with us. I mean, I'm learning more about Gen Z today in this conversation rather than what I've already researched and seen online. So thank you so much for sharing more clarity around Gen Zs. And I really love what you've shared around feedback. Feedback is important. That's part of communications. And I really love because I also have a Gen Z daughter, so I will make sure that I will give her feedback that are real time, constructive, and human. So, and the last question goes to both Swimita and Jane. Um, although Jane also mentioned earlier about reverse mentorship already, right? So if there's any specific highlight or add-on that you'd like to share as well on what you have learned about reverse mentorship or cross-generational leadership that been valuable in your team, probably in your previous employment or with the customers or clients that you actually work with or coach.
So, if I may start, I think since I mentioned the reverse mentorship, a lot of the progressive organizations now actually adopt to this, and they're beginning to recognize that leadership is really more of a mindset. It's not a title, and it's now something that everybody would like to embrace, especially for people that are or organizations that are trying to build an inclusive or what would they would call psychologically safe environment. So leadership is not just about age or title or having that corner office, as Kathleen mentioned earlier. It's really about perspective. It's really about understanding what real leadership is from their perspective. So actually, it's good that Gen Z is very, how do you put it, defiant, or really not following the mold deliberately, because it kind of challenges organizations to become more creative, and especially for me in the professional field, it kind of challenge us to bring in fresh thinking, look at things differently, become more curious, and really put technology in there, really put digital fluency and digital elements in there, embracing more bold, non-conventional ideas as compared to us coming from the older generations. But not discounting older generations. Of course, we still bring value by offering wisdom through our experience. We could always tell our, Gen Z folks, we've been there. As a parent, I can totally relate, Len. When you say my daughter, I could always tell them I already experienced it. So vicarious learning, right? But at the same time, you want to tame it down in such a way that it's more of not really being prescriptive. It's more of suggestive for them. So it's not my way or the highway, but it's really more of soft or gentle handling. So more of just guiding. And then really when we create space for cross generational opportunities or interactions, it's being inclusive, it's being diverse, really unlocking that innovation and empathy across all ages, across all generations. And it's a win-win for all organizations if we're able to do that.
Thank you, Jane, for that. How about you, Swimita?
Yeah, I think this is getting very interesting. We talk about cross generational and reverse collaboration and reverse mentoring. Very interesting. I think we are in a phase where we've seen how the best of the worlds can come together for the betterment of the world. Um, you know, it's it's and I would say that, purely from a wisdom point of view, um, age is no barrier, right? A 20-year, even my teenager daughter, 13-year, can is teaching me every day new things that for my age is, is still a new thing to learn, and I am open to it. So does the leaders are in the world now, when it comes to cross generational collaboration and reverse mentoring. I mean, there are younger leaders who are teaching us, as rightly said by my fellow panelist here, that the boldness, definitely the digital, clarity and the ease of digital navigation they have is something which is commendable. New ways of working. They are teaching us how to work uh, from purpose, and they are teaching us, how to really embrace diversity, inclusion, equity, and have new ways of working. So that's something that we are every day learning from Gen Zs. Whereas there is definitely merit in what older generations bring in, whether it's really long-term relationships or really having strategic clarity. There is definitely merit in that experience, the full wisdom they bring in working for 10, 20, 30 years in the workforce. So I think it's not really about who is ahead, who is behind, but it's really walking the path together, bringing the best of the worlds together, for creating more innovative spaces, and I think the beauty is also there in the data where McKinsey says, the companies where cross generational collaboration is taking place, they are three times more, better in terms of adaptability and innovation as compared to their peers who are not operating on these principles. So we see that there is definitely huge advantage when we bringing the best of the worlds together. It's about co-creating those spaces where everyone have a point of view. Everybody is heard, seen, and they feel valued. Age is definitely a no bar here. Like, we don't identify with age anymore. It's about collaborative, communication and chats and conversations. Um, so I think that's where really reverse mentoring takes place. It's something which is very similar is that think about a time where we are having communication and a good conversation in a meeting room, and a leader stand up and say that, hey guys, I really don't know that. That's powerful. To me, that's wisdom. That's humility. That's grounding. That's what open up the space for what Jane mentioned, the psychological safety. You don't need to have all answers as a leader. It's important to create those spaces where better answers can emerge, right? So that's my 2 cents when it comes to reverse mentoring.
I love that. Again, it's really so much around collaboration, I would say, communication, and that open mind, right? When you lead people, it doesn't have to be just Gen Z, but all generations. Because now more than ever, we're really facing in most workplaces and organization, we will be facing more like generations or multi-generation, and these challenges can be turned into opportunities if we continuously learn as well as be open-minded about this and really understanding it's not really like the misconceptions that you heard about Gen Z or whatever generation maybe. So I think we probably have time for my last question, which is basically just your magic wand question, my Miss Universe question. So if um if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it? If you can share it in just one sentence, particularly around our theme on Gen Z and the new phase of leadership. Would you like to start, Suimita?
Sure. If I have a magic wand, I'd love to um enable leadership with the KPIs, which is around self awareness, purpose, empathy, authenticity, and also clarity. Because I think as leaders, when we are modeling um, 24 hours work schedules, we are not really creating sustainable workspaces. And that's kind of burning out all generations. Much more the Gen Zs are getting away and away because for them, well-being purpose is something that really holds greater importance. For me, these should be modeling behaviors of the leadership when it comes to leading the way for any generations.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. What's your magic wand?
Sorry, is it me?
Yes, yes. I'm asking everyone this final question on if there's anything that, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it, particularly around our theme perhaps on Gen Z and the face of
Yeah,
leadership?
actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna redesign leadership to be more human, in a sense that I want it to be less hierarchy and more empathy. And then as much as possible, I would like to put Gen Z on the table, not just
Hmm. We lost Kathleen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Jane, would you like to go next?
Okay, so maybe we can go back to Kathleen because I'm really interested to know about her magic one
Our
answer
magic
coming from a
wand.
Gen Z
Yes.
perspective. But if I'm given the opportunity to change things with a magic wand, I'd probably create a optimistic, very psychologically safe culture where all generations, particularly Gen Z employees, will have an opportunity to have somebody safe, personalized, maybe a personal leadership coach whom they can buddy up with from day one, sort of like have a mentor, if you will, um, and then have an experiential program wherein there's a blend of technology, there's empathy, and of course, starting with that purpose, in order for them to really embrace their future as leaders. Because that's really one of our dream, right? To really have a robust succession planning wherein Gen Zs would really accept. But I don't think they would accept per se if they're not able to see the changes and the improvements. So we're also in a way being challenged to step up to their vision, of what it is to be a leader really in the organization. Because I kid you not, I'm very impressed with how they view things differently from us and kind of gives us a different perspective, which is totally different, but at the same time for me is very they're the future after all. So they kind of are setting that tone for us. So I guess for us in older generation, it's accepting that. So magic wand, have that safe culture where everybody can just thrive. Sorry, it's long. One sentence.
and
Thank you,
also
Jane. And Kathleen, we lost you. You
yeah, and also just to add on what I said a while ago, I want it to be less hierarchy, more empathy in a sense that if you view what's going on right now with our workplace, it's kind of different. Everyone is valuing having vacation, having holiday. So it's more like if you put Gen Z on the table, we're gonna make sure that there's gonna be a balance. It's not just you always work and work and work. We are gonna make sure that we're gonna push you that, oh, okay, you're working too much. I think it's time for you to have your own time, have your own peace. So I think it's always less hierarchy, more empathy.
Love
Thank you. I really love this conversation. Thank you so much. And just based on this conversation, which is actually a pre-event for the upcoming the interconnected leadership summit, right? It's like I'm already full. Like in just 30 minutes I already learned so much around Gen Z and the new phase of leadership. So I really appreciate all the ladies here, our distinguished panelists who contributed very well in this very invaluable conversation. And what I've learned, like it's exciting what's yet to come. in the new phase of leadership, I would say. And it's really so much on interconnection, collaboration, communications, clarity. Aside from, purpose, it's not all about just the performance, but the purpose. Why are we doing what we are doing? So I really appreciate the three of you for educating me more. I felt like a Gen Z now. So thank you so much. And we would like to invite our audience as well, who would watch this whether on a replay, to again give your comment, share your questions, and join us in the upcoming Interconnected Summit on 30th of August at Crowne Plaza, Manila Galleria. And if you cannot travel to the all the way to the Philippines, we will have our program also available on Zoom events. So we will be sharing more details on the comment when we share this recording. So thank you so much, Kathleen, Jane, Swimita, for joining me in this very invaluable conversation. And I look forward to having you in those events as well. Thank you so much, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.